Marco, good to talk to you this morning. Tell us about your journey home.
It's been an absolute nightmare so far. This is our 12th in the airport since yesterday. We're expected to get on our flight and told that everything was going to be okay. And then when it came to getting on the flight, managed to get all the way up to the plane, and then we're told that the flight was actually cancelled and that there was going to be no other options until early or late next week.
Wow, so a whole week. And you're trying to get from Tenerife back to Edinburgh. So what happened then? You were told no flights. You then had to wait in the airport for how long?
Well, we're actually in Gran Canaria at the moment. I was just on a little week holiday away with my girlfriend, and was told that there wouldn't be any flights leaving at the moment. If we were to get a flight, then it would be next week, or we could do some transfers in other countries, but it's averaging out around about 37, 42 hours to be able to just get back home. So our best plan of action at the moment is to fly to Tenerife today and then stay until Friday or Saturday and hopefully get a flight from Tenerife then to be able to get home.
So the local flights between the Canary Islands themselves are not as affected as the ones, into the UK, but they're going to be facing delays as well, aren't they?
Well, exactly, yeah. So fingers crossed that hopefully this flight later on won't get cancelled as well. But at the moment, everything seems to be okay for other countries. While we were at the desk, there was a flight to Milan, which was able to go ahead no problem at all. It just seemed to be us trying to get to Edinburgh that we weren't able to get any flights whatsoever.
And what kind of information were you given by the airline? Did they give you as much help as they could, do you think?
We were told nothing. We weren't given any information to do with where we were going to be able to stay for the night. We've slept in the airport and expected to sleep again. We weren't given any information to do with how we were going to get transferred flights or people who had connecting flights or where to eat. We've not been given any vouchers or any food or any complimentary items at all. There was children who didn't have any blankets, or we've been given water bottles, but that was a good few hours ago now, and there's not been any refill. We're kind of just in the dust here. We've not got any options.
And in terms of the cost of booking this new flight, I mean, obviously that's going to have cost you money. Presumably you've got things to get back home for, work, I would imagine, or studies. I mean, what impact is it having on the rest of your life?
Well, I'm apprentice, so I am not on a massive wage. I don't have the expendable income to be able to just book holidays here and there. And this flight to Tenerife will not be, I've been told, is not covered by Ryanair. It's cost me just short of £600 altogether, which is not money that I would like to spend. I didn't plan on spending it. I wasn't prepared to be spending that. But I've not really got any other option. In order to be able to get home, it's either stay in Gran Canaria with no money or fly to Tenerife and with £600 and hopefully be able to get a flight from there. But I've still not even got that promise.
I mean, and where are you going to stay in the meantime when you get there?
That's a good question, isn't it? Hopefully we should be able to get some sort of hostel or at an airport, even just staying over at the airport or any hotel. But at the moment, it's looking pretty bleak. There's a good few other Scottish couples who are trying to get to the same locations, and we've been looking all day trying to find somewhere to stay, and there is not many options. But at this point, we'll take anything.
And in terms of compensation, you say you haven't really had any dealings with the airline, but do you not think, will your travel insurance cover this?
Well, I'm very lucky in the fact that I've got travel insurance, but there's a good few couples here that do not have travel insurance, which I do not envy them whatsoever. It's a very grey area at the moment. There seems to be a lot of mention when you go to check compensation calculators and that sort of thing. It seems to be a very grey area whether or not we're actually eligible for it. It seems to be, although it's unforeseen circumstances, it is ones that wouldn't be expected and outside of the control of Ryanair, apparently. So we wouldn't be able to be eligible for a lot of the compensation that we would have usually expected. We've not had any real communication, any hard and fast rule of what will be allowed and what we won't. So it's a grey area at the moment of what we're actually going to get back.
And of course, the issue for the airlines is staff as well, that if planes are held up, staff then work over their hours, don't they? So it may well be that there are, for example, Ryanair staff there able to fly the planes, but because of a technicality, some would say, or just because they've worked longer hours than they should, they can't staff those planes to bring them home. How do you feel about that?
Well, our flight was actually meant to take off at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. yesterday. We were then told to wait until 10:30 and we'd be told whether or not our flight was going to take off. At 11 o'clock, we were then told we were going to be able to get on a plane and then turn back. And then the flight actually flew back with obviously the captain and the cabin crew back to Edinburgh, but there was no passengers allowed because they'd worked over their hours. We were told by the Ryanair staff that they are only allowed to work 12 hours and they worked 15, so they were already over their allowance. And that was the reason. So the flight did actually fly back to Edinburgh or at the time that they said it would, just no customers were allowed, which is a bit of a pain. It's understandable. I do respect the fact that the staff work incredible hours and do an incredibly difficult job. It's still frustrating, though, to see that the flight was able to go ahead and yet there was no customers. And now we're in a complete grey area. We don't know how we're going to get home. We don't know how much it's going to cost. We don't know. Some people don't know how they're going to afford it or what's going to happen. We were advised by staff at one point that some of us might have to camp out and wait until we get our refund for our original flight and use that money to book a flight home.
Well, listen, the best of luck to you, Marco. You seem to be keeping really your spirits up. I hope you find somewhere to stay for the next few nights in Tenerife. And if not, the beaches are very nice at this time of year. Hopefully the weather stays warm. Marco, thanks very much for talking to us on Sky. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.